Coolios. Cool. This is the wide one, isn't it? This is my one. Cool. Right, okay. Okay then. Okay. Hi guys, welcome back to the Zeze Millz show, and today I have a very, very special guest. I feel like I'm doing like a world tour of people that maybe I've disagreed with online before, and now I'm just sitting down with them and having nice conversations. We have Slumflower, aka Chidi, in the building. How are we?
I'm really good. I'm happy to be here.
Did we ever think this day was gonna come?
If someone had asked me, let's rewind back to like the heat of like 2017,
Yes,
sort of peak 2017. If someone was to come up to me and be like,
2018.
2017, 2018. If someone was to come up to me and be like, one day you and Zeze are gonna sit down in a studio and
You
you're
say,
gonna
God
record
forbid.
it. I'm like, to talk about what? Like, what are we gonna discuss? We don't have anything in common. We have opposing views. She don't like me, you know? But the reason why I felt that way was only because back then, I think there was a different attitude and approach we all had to social media.
I agree, yeah.
And I think that as times have changed, we have learnt online etiquette. We've also grown as adults and we've gone through life experiences away from the internet that have shaped our perspectives. So now I think we've gotten to a place, especially me and you, where it's like we're grown women and two things can be true at once. And I think it's so important to, especially for people who are younger watching us, to set an example that
I
it's
agree,
important
100%.
to have conversations with people who you don't entirely agree with.
100%. And I think it's so interesting because, like, how I saw you online those times, it was very, I think we both was just, because we're both very strong in our opinions. And it's like, I say what I say, I mean what I mean, it is what it is. After that, everyone else, I don't care what you have to say. And if maybe I might listen, sometimes maybe not. And I think both of us were so strong, headstrong. And then, like you said, there'll be things that you would say maybe 5 years ago, and I'd be like, why would you say that? And then maybe, as again, like you're saying, as I've gone through life, I'll be like, oh, okay, I might not fully agree with what Chidi said, but I can see where she's coming. So like when I hear you speaking, it's still now sometimes I'm like, oh, that's a bit harsh, or that comes across a bit hard. But then I'll be like, do you know what? I hear it though, because I get why you might feel like that, or I get why you might be behaving like that, or why you feel like you should, or why we should behave like that because of experiences that I've even gone through. And I'm like, yeah, motherfuckers is motherfuckers, and you just need to treat motherfuckers like motherfuckers. That's how. But then I don't know, because I feel that you're very tough.
Definitely, but so are you.
No, see, I'm so like, I feel like you're soft inside, yeah,
Absolutely.
but it takes longer to get to the softness. Me, I only need like 2 weeks to get to the softness. Maybe even 3 conversations and I could be doing soft. I feel like you feel like there's loads of things that this person needs to show you before you get to the softness. And I'm not necessarily like that. And I think that's where sometimes, or when I listen to you, I'm like, oh my God, why so harsh? Or why not give them a bit of leeway? And you're like, no, we're on their necks all the time.
And I agree with you that I come across harsh, and taking it back to that time we were referencing where the internet was different, I completely understand why people would have seen me in that way. And what is really fascinating about the evolution of all of us as adults who once were on Black Twitter making our noise is that certain things will happen in life and you realize, okay, I need to shift my perspective and maybe I do need to become more strict, or maybe I do need to become more radical. In my case, nothing is that different that I'm saying now versus back then. It's just that I've become maybe more articulate.
Yeah,
Or
and that's the same with me. Like, some people say to me, oh, Z, you're so calm. I'm like, am I? Or have I just learned how to be a bit more articulate? Also, maybe even be a bit more softer with my delivery. So yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
And also, I think what you were describing about me being soft inside, I genuinely am a soft person. And that is the reason why it's important for me as a woman, especially a Black woman, to have that solid exterior. Because when you're a woman and you're kind, people will try to take advantage of that kindness, especially men, especially intracommunally, referring to Black men. that's something that I have not just experienced, but have seen happening as a pattern in our community. And it's something that our mothers have been affected by, our aunties, our grandmothers. It's a generational thing, but also it's systemic. So it's something that seems to be an ongoing thing where, as a Black woman myself, when I do lead with the energy of being stern and being like, you're going to need to prove yourself to me as a man,
Mm.
to people online who are reading the way that I share those ideologies, it does come across really stern and harsh. But the ultimate motive behind the work I do is to encourage women to understand that you don't lose anything from standing up for yourself and being sure of your worth in the face of men who want to sleep with you. What you lose out on is men who were never meant for you. You only stand to gain, and it
Oh.
might slow down the process for you in terms of, oh, I'm not sleeping with as many people, my phone's a bit quiet. But for me, I lead with quality versus like the quantity of men moving to me.
So what type of men then do you feel like you attract? Because then I feel, because the thing with me is where what I kind of struggle with is if a man knows that he has to do such and such and such to maybe get to where he feels like he needs, does he not then just follow those rules? And then how do you decipher between a man that is just following these instructions to a man that because he just wants to get what he wants, or a man that is following the instruction because he genuinely likes you and wants to get to your heart and your softness? How do you figure out the both? How do you know?
Wonderful question. So, in terms of deciphering between a man who's just following the rules to get the pussy versus a
Mm.
man who is going to abide by your boundaries because he loves you, for a while you won't be able to tell the difference. And that's
Then you're
why,
just getting your heart broken.
for me, it's like, that's
Because
why
you got to do
time is a
trial and
key
error.
factor.
Do you have to do trial and error then?
That's the thing, right? In this whole life, this whole existence
It's
as
trial
human
and
beings is
error.
trial and error, but the key component here is time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that, yeah, a man can do whatever you want to, but he will eventually lose stamina if his goal was genuinely to sleep with you and to get the ego stroke.
Do you think so? Because I think some men are wicked, Chidi, and they
Some,
will.
only some.
No, but I do. I feel like some of them are so wicked, yeah, that they will do that. And I feel, especially sometimes, even when it pertains to women like me and you, who have online presence as well, and have this, especially where they feel like, oh, you're this, and then they have this weird fantasy about trying to break you down
Mm-hmm,
and being the one that conquered, and like, oh yeah, see, she's online doing all this talk, but look what I.
mm-hmm.
Then man will wait 8 months,
Of course
like
they will.
so, and then what happens? So
So
then,
some men are wicked, but I'm more wicked.
oh wow, okay.
I mean it. And why I say I'm more wicked is because I enjoy being 3 steps ahead. As women, we are always 3 steps ahead, but sometimes we talk ourselves out of our knowledge. So, what I mean by that is we know men want to sleep with us. We know that if we flash a tit at a guy, he's going to get hard on. Like, there are certain things we do that are going to get a particular response out of a man.
Right, okay.
And so, in being 3 steps ahead, if you know this guy obviously wants to sleep with me, well, I'm going to leverage that because I see how men move, right? When they know that a woman is desperate for a relationship or she's at that age, like the age group we're at now, where it's like, oh, desperate for marriage,
Right,
this
right,
type
right.
of
Okay,
propaganda
yeah.
of get married and have children. They know that certain women are desperate for that companionship and that holy union. So they're going to dangle it over your head. They will tell you things like, oh, wow, I see you being my wife. And that woman will start doing all the wifely duties. She'll be cooking, she'll be cleaning, she'll be barebacking, all in the hopes to really solidify
Sorry, I
this
still-
bond.
Sorry.
And then, eventually she realizes that she got played, and that sets her back 5 years of progress, mental health, the lot. It's a avalanche of disaster. Now, for me, why I say that I'm more wicked than men is because not only have I caught on to men's game, I'm in on their game with them. So when they're doing the whole technique, as you may know, as like love bombing,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
oh, you're amazing, I'm gonna buy you gifts. I'm like, I act like I don't know that they're love bombing me. And I pretend like it's working, but they're not getting what they want. So I talk around the idea of having sex, but I end up not having sex with them because most times, by the time I'm actually ready to have sex with them, they do something that pisses me off to the point where I realize, wow, you almost had me. But I'm not going to let you touch me now because that's an absolute no.
So there's no. It's just basically a tease,
Yeah, I love doing that to men.
like an extended tease.
Essentially, yeah. But the
But
reason
don't
why,
you? But also, okay, so as you're explaining this to me, all I'm thinking is, do you not get tired, like mentally tired?
great question.
Because as you're explaining, I'm thinking, I don't. That's what I was saying earlier about just being like soft, because
Yeah.
like I'll see some of your videos, you'll be like, why would you message that guy, or why would you tell him that? And I'm like, because I want to.
I hear it.
Because I feel like he should know.
Mm.
And then, because, do you get what I mean?
I get exactly what you mean. Period.
But it's like, I'm here.
Like, why can't we just vibe? Why can't we just be
Yeah.
our authentic,
But do you not
selves?
feel that, yes. But don't you feel like if we all do this, we're just going to keep going in this cycle of no one is really being real with each other. We're not ever going to have the true.
I get your question.
Do you understand? Like, it's just a
Absolutely.
constant game of everyone trying to outsmart each other.
Well, this is the part where clarity comes in, because when men are moving to me, right? When they're asking me things like, "Oh, what's your type?" My type is provider. I don't talk too much. When a man asks,
When
what
you
do you
say
mean by
provide, okay, go on, yeah, let's
so
go.
obviously, because you're a woman and we're having a conversation in a podcast,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
important that I clarify what provider means.
Because I think also that's what happens with your stuff as well. It gets clipped, and then someone will clip this part where you say, "I want a provider," and then all the men now are crying in the comments, "Can she even provide for herself?" Da, 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 all these things. Their normal go to. Yeah, who wants to provide? We'll go on then. Are you gonna?
Right.
It's just like, so let's. When you say provider, what do you mean by that?
So what I mean by provider is all bills paid.
Oh.
All
Right,
bills
okay.
paid, plus, you know, because for me it's about lifestyle. I date men for lifestyle. I don't date men for like companionship and feelings. Like, that's part of it, but the priority for me is lifestyle.
Wait, no, Chidi, see, this is
By the time we finish this episode, my whole singlet will be torn from the people dragging.
Wait. So it's just lifestyle is first and foremost.
Lifestyle comes before dick. That's how I see it. Some women date for like sexual compatibility and intimacy.
Right.
Some women date for
So
like,
do you have
I
to
really
be
wanna
attracted to them?
I'm attracted. My attraction to a man develops based on how he treats me.
Right.
So of course, like at face value, I can find a man attractive, but if he's not giving me the treatment I want, I can compartmentalize that attraction and just see him as an attractive person that I'm not compatible with.
Okay, but what about on the reverse? Like if you wasn't attracted to him and he treats you nicely?
Oh, then I can grow to love him.
Okay.
Yeah. I can date a short guy. I can date a tall guy. I can date a guy who is not visually attractive to most people, but as long as he's treating me how I want to be treated, that's none of my concern. If anything, as a woman, I feel like I benefit more from the relationship when the guy is not as good looking as me, because I'm the star of the show in the relationship. And also there's more of a fear of him losing me.
But then sometimes you build them up and then the motherfuckers start because then they feel how did I bag Chidi? I must be able to bag bare girls.
That's why you have to use positive reinforcement strategically. I big them up based on how they treat me. So I say things like, the way you take care of me is such a turn on for me. Or I'll say things like, that other day when you surprised me with that really lovely gift, I just want to say that I deeply appreciate how thoughtful you are and how much of a gentleman you are. You have to be really careful and specific with your wording, because if you're complimenting him on the things that you like, he's going to do more of it.
Okay, right. So okay, yeah, I get that. Yeah, fairs.
I love the way you take care of me. It makes me feel like a woman, and you know, it's not common that men like this exist. He's going to feel really proud of the fact that he's able to do that
and
as
wants
a man.
to do more of it.
As he should.
Okay, so then provider is first.
Provider,
the lifestyle.
Yeah.
Okay, so pay all bills then also.
So not only is he paying all bills, because for me it's like, this conversation would obviously lead to the question of like, so do you want to get married, etc. Not only is he paying all bills, like this would be a man who has the potential to like buy me property. Like I wouldn't want to marry a man who can't do that for me. In terms of dating though.
Okay, wait.
I'm talking about if I want to marry a guy, I would marry for, you know, the longevity of
No, because there's a part of me that is like,
I get that it sounds unrealistic. I get it.
And also like, how do you just say this? Because I don't think I could say this out. Like I would be.
Oh, I've heard men say crazier things to women. Oh, are you good? Yeah, you got a man. I want to sleep with you. Like men don't feel scared to come up to a woman that they've only known for all of 2
Fairs,
weeks and
fairs.
ask for pussy.
Fairs, okay.
But we're the ones that are scared
But
to
the
say.
property okay, go on.
What I'm referring to about property is if a man wants to marry me, what would make it worth it for me to marry a man is properties in plural in my
Right,
name.
okay.
That sounds unrealistic, right? But I think what we define as realistic versus unrealistic is based on our own individual outlooks for our lives and also the access we have. So
Right.
for me, I'm not the scale of celebrity that I see myself being in 10 years' time. So the access I'm going to have in 10 years' time is going to be different to the access to men I have now. So I already have a mindset where by the time I meet those men who are likely to facilitate the life that I would want to marry into, I already know how to mix and talk to them. And I already have my own status. But in the meantime, the men that I'm dating now, they're not buying me properties, but they've played a good role. So when things have gone wrong, I don't feel goofy because I left with more than I came with.
See, okay, I literally was having this conversation because we're the same. You're not Gen Z, are you?
No, I'm 29.
Right, okay. So you're just, okay, cool.
Millennial, definitely.
Millennial. But I was saying, I always have this conversation about Gen Z, and I feel like I'm like Gen Z. They're just so. I say this to my friend the other day. As much as I have a lot of shit to say about Gen Z, there's something about them that I admire. That they've seen a lot of behavior that they don't like, right? And they're now saying, "I don't want this." I think it's a little bit how far they're going with it is a bit. I think it's quite extreme, but I get maybe they have to cast the net out and then bring it in and figure out how much. But at least they want some sort of change, I guess, to the treatment, like you were saying earlier, of they've seen their mums, their sisters, their aunts stay with men for love and leave with nothing. Kind of like what you were just saying just now. Well, at least if you take the piss out of me, I left with something than what I came with, and I get it. And I understand it, but a part of me feels like that's just so sad because I do feel. But then I always say this: that's what our grandparents did.
I think
because I think we romanticized our grandparents' relationships a lot.
I mean,
We've
our grandmas couldn't leave.
They
They
literally
weren't allowed
couldn't.
to
That's
have a
what I'm
bank
saying.
account.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
were prisoners.
Like literally. So yeah.
But also, I think I really do understand what you mean when you say it sounds sad. I get this response from people a lot where the common things I hear amongst people saying, "Oh, this sounds so sad," is what about love? Like, why can't we all just be our true selves? Why do we have to play all these games? I'll stop playing games when men stop playing games, But I've learned to enjoy the game.
Yeah.
For me, it's like,
that's the truth,
if you're a
isn't
woman
it?
who chooses to date men, because remember, like, it's actually not by force to date. We have desires to be around certain people, but it's actually not by force. So if you're choosing to date men, you have to acknowledge that you're opting into a game. So decide, do you want to win this game, or are you going to be that person that's like, I'm a nice person, I'm going to show all my cards. No one's going to come and congratulate you for losing the game because you want to be a nice person. Just sit to the side and let someone else who wants to play the real game. For me, it's like, I've clocked that, okay, in the first, 3 months of knowing a guy, he's going to be putting his best foot forward because that's the impression that he wants to give you. He really wants to earn your trust. After that, it's
which
up
is
to God.
actually, I was having a conversation about this the other day. It's actually a form of manipulation.
Of course it is.
It's like such a and when you say this to men, they start panicking because they think now you're going to start saying, "Oh, it was against my will." And it's like, no, it wasn't against my will, but it was also manipulation. Like you presented yourself in a certain type of way in order to get into my panties, and now you've got into my panties and you've adjusted your behavior. Because if you showed me this behavior in the beginning, you wouldn't have got in my panties.
Most times it's because they don't have what you need. Like,
and also most times because they actually don't have game. I remember my friend said to me, he was a guy, he said to me, a real guy that actually has game, they shouldn't have to be telling you lies to get in your panties. They should just be able to say to you, this is what I want. Can you give it to me? I'll be happy to engage in this. This is all I can offer you. Because if you're actually a real player and you get gal, you should be able to pass up on me or you because there's another great woman. Just because I can't have Chidi or can't have Zeze, let me go somewhere else. I shouldn't have to fill you with lies and false hopes to get into your pants.
I completely agree, but also even the men who have solid riz and who are confident in themselves, there's always something they're lying about. Like they're probably talking to like 2 other women, and that's why I always have my other 2 as well. If you're talking to women, I'm also talking to men. I might not declare, but I have my rotation of attention because I'm telling you, it will get to a stage where suddenly he's now talking to you less and less,
and you're wondering what you did wrong.
Bro, I have been there.
You're
It
thinking, what
happens to
happened?
the best of us.
Yeah.
Because you know what? Yeah, you know when you can clock that it's happening, where it's like you can just sense it.
Listen.
And then that day you didn't sleep well. You wake
I
up at 8 a.m. You're
know.
angry.
And
It's
you're
like,
even wondering, where's the
you're
response?
even checking the phone.
Why
You
is
got
he
an
not
archive it to
responding?
try and tell yourself not to look. You're waiting for that little one to show up. I hate when a man has, because I'm like, you know what? God forbid I feel like this. What the hell? What the hell? And it only happens because you're not talking to someone else.
It's so true.
But then the thing is, sometimes there isn't someone else that you like at the time,
but that's because us as women, we
tunnel.
And that's one thing that I am quite good at not doing. I don't romanticize.
Good.
Like my friends, I'll go out with a guy one time. They'll be like, "Oh, so do you think you can marry?" And I'm like, "Based off what? Like, what have I based this off? What are we based this off?
Marry, you know?
Like, yeah, but I feel like as women, we really romanticize the idea of a guy straight. I'm like, yeah, well, I feel like he'll be really good, even to the point of him being your partner. It's like, how would I know that from 2 hours of a conversation with him, like, or whatever?
If an emergency was to happen, can this guy help me?
Like, literally,
Real
can
talk.
he? And most of them know.
If I need 10K right now, can you give me 10K? Like, if HMRC comes to me and says, yo, we need 10K from you, can I come to you and say, yo, look at this letter, can you help? I can't pay you back, but can you do me a favor? Can you do that? No. Okay, next caller. I'm 30 in a couple months. I don't have the time I had when I was 24.
What was your first heartbreak like?
Ooh, my first heartbreak, like most people, it hurt, innit? Like, it was really, really upsetting, but I approached it from a place of not having any knowledge of myself as a young woman. I was completely like anxious, attached, very that kind of girl who needs reassurance.
Okay, right.
Like, when I look back on that girl I get the ick looking at her.
Right, okay.
Because it's all of the textbook definition of that clingy girl who, oh my God, like, why do you want to constantly be in your man's armpit? Like, get a hobby, find something to do, girl.
Right.
I built a lot of my self-esteem around how he saw me.
Right, okay.
And so when he obviously inevitably found another girl to talk to and eventually date, it really, really crushed me. I was at 19. It really crushed me.
Mm-hmm.
But what's interesting is people often say, like in my comment section or to me, something really bad must have happened to you because of the way you think. And it's like, I think that's an interesting comment, because I don't think you have to go through something that bad to recognize that men are what they are.
This is true.
People expect for me to have this really traumatic story. I've heard more traumatic stories from people who actually follow me, who have said things like, I got married to this guy and, you know, had 2 kids with him and he was selfish, wasn't helping. And then 3 years into the marriage, I found out he had a secret family. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
I've never experienced that. I'm grateful to God that I've never been married. I'm grateful that I've never been pregnant for any man, because it really only takes one man for you to have a very different life. And that can be for better or for worse.
No, it's true.
And for women like ourselves who are public figures and who are only going to be exponentially more and more successful, we have to be even more careful about the man we pick, because the man we pick can define the direction our lives will go in. And why I say this is because sometimes in my spare time, I'll watch one of those like Lifetime documentaries of like the women from the 70s and the 80s and the 60s who were big stars.
Right.
And the documentary usually starts out very optimistic and exciting. You're seeing all the showreel of their amazing career highlights. And then it gets to that stage where a man comes into the picture.
You're like,
and now it's the dark part of the documentary. She's introduced to drugs. The man is now talking her out of taking movie roles because he's jealous of her being around other men. She's now losing out on career opportunities. She's becoming poorer. She's becoming more addicted to drugs. Before you know it, spiraled in suicide, or she dies really early or really young. And it's usually because a man has entered her life and ruined the picture. And it can happen to any of us. And that's why I'm just so hell-bent on making sure that I choose wisely for myself. Because even the men that I engage with now, and this is probably going to take the conversation in a very controversial direction, but the men I engage with now are men who are submissive. Like, in my spare time, I'm a dominatrix.
Yes, I want to get onto that.
And that part of that whole becoming a dominatrix thing is probably the one time where I'll say, yeah, actually, me becoming a dominatrix is a side effect of me living in a world, an environment, and having come off the other side of experiences that have made me think, I'd never want a man to make me feel unsafe again.
Right.
So now when I engage with men, especially if it's like intimate or sexual in its nature, I'm in charge and I
Okay.
feel much safer. And I also find it a lot more enjoyable to have a man being of service to me rather than the default that we're all in, where we feel like we need to posture ourselves for men and hope that he's going to pick us. It's like, no, he needs to hope I pick him. And not only does he need to hope I pick him, he's going to go through a little audition process, and it's really arbitrary things that I've decided he's going to do.
Right, so go on.
Like
Explain.
some men, I make them write essays on why I'm amazing. And I'll like look for spelling errors, or I'll make them repeatedly write lines, because the name I go by as a dominatrix is Goddess Gina, because Georgina's my middle name.
Right, okay.
So they'll write things like Goddess Gina is supreme, and they'll just write it several times. And if there's a spelling error, I'll be like, "There's a spelling error on that line."
So wait, do you watch them do it, or they have to send
they have
it
to
to
send
you?
it to me.
Oh,
yeah, or like, you know, using them as a footrest.
I saw when you put the toes in their mouth
putting
and
toes
stuff
on their
them.
face and their mouth.
They like this.
Not only did they like it, they love it.
Really?
Yeah, they pay me.
So how did you get into this? How did you know?
How I got into this was, I used to see dominatrixes on Twitter and I'd be like, what is this? Like, what do you mean this guy is willingly walking on a leash behind you off the circus? Like, how is that a thing? What? Are you sure he's not a victim? Is he drugged?
Right.
I used to think, are these victims? Like, I used to think the things that a lot of people think. Where it's the stereotype that all the men are mentally ill and the women are just witches that are taking over these vulnerable people.
Yeah.
And then I realized, oh, not only are these guys really smart, intelligent, successful people, but they know what they like, and what they like is powerful Black women. They like.
So do you not see it as a fetish?
It is a fetish.
You don't mind?
What? So I think the question you're asking is, do they fetishize me?
Yeah.
What's fascinating about this question is that whether you're engaging in kink or not, men fetishize women, even within the Black community.
Yeah, for sure.
They fetishize our breasts. They fetishize that we're going to labor for them. There's always going to be a way a man fetishizes you. And of course, in kink, the fetish is a lot more obvious. There are men who have a fetish for feet, have a fetish for Black women. What I like about the white men who have a fetish for Black women is that their fetish is about them understanding that Black women are superior to them. And they like feeling, whether it's feeling bullied or humiliated.
Oh, right.
Or even if it's not bullying or humiliation, they like being under the control and dominion of a Black woman.
So outside of the dominatrix, when you date, do you prefer to date white men?
It's not a preference. My preference is Black men, but I always go where I feel the most honored and loved. So I like to think of it as like a diverse workforce. Where we have senior roles and more junior entry-level positions. Not every man's going to do the same thing, innit? I actually don't eliminate all men just because they're not millionaires. First of all, I don't actually need to date a millionaire for a man to treat me well and give me what I prefer. If you have multiple, if multiple men are paying your rent and they all think they're the only one paying your rent, the maths is mathing, right? But for me, it's like...
A part of me is I'm actually a part of me is like sitting here in like this. I'm just like, wow.
I can't wait to take you to one of these events I go to. Your whole, because it happened to me. I went to, all it took was me going to one event and I was like, wait.
Because I often toy, like, so men really like my feet. And I'm like, oh, maybe
sure
one
you've got
day.
Beautiful feet because you've got lovely hands.
Thank you. Maybe one day I was thinking OnlyFans, maybe for my feet.
You know what? Yeah, you don't even need
But then I've got this thing, because that's another thing, because that's a good, nice segue, because my thing is more to do with the whole idea of sex work, right? And I know you've spoken about it. Yeah, you've spoken about it and you advocate for that and you're very passionate about that. And I feel like there's definitely a stigma that sex work has around it. So my thing, and a lot of women think, oh, only because it's my feet. And it's like, no, that's still sex work, because some guys getting off to your feet, therefore equals sex work. Okay, so talk to me, because I feel that I have this, and I think this is where we used to clash a lot online, was the idea about women and their bodies and autonomy and how we're seen. And my thing was, you know, why would we want to like engage in certain things where where we're making ourselves sexualized? Men can look at us and fetishize us if that's not how we want to be seen. And then obviously yourself and a lot of other women would come and say, no, because it's our choice. This is what we decide to do. But I still see sex work as something where it's like, do we have to?
The key question is, do we have to? And the answer is no, we don't have to. And where I think someone is engaging in sex work because they have to is either out of survival,
Mm.
because that's genuinely their job and
Mm-hmm.
it's the only form of income they have, or which this isn't sex work, but if they're being trafficked.
Right.
The issue here is that a lot of times people conflate sex trafficking with sex work. They're not the same. So, for example, Findom is a form of sex work, and that is financial domination.
Right.
So that means doing things like taking over a man's finances and giving him an allowance from his own money. And it's a written agreement you have with him. It involves you spending his money. It involves that you, when you receive his money, you're not giving him any sexual benefits. He's not getting to see you naked. He's not getting to touch you. He gets the sexual, erotic energy of giving you money. Now, whilst for some people that might be seen as like really muddy territory, I think what's important to clarify in this is that oftentimes we do have this question, which is a valid question of like, why should we sexualize ourselves? Now, the issue is that whether we sexualize ourselves or not, men are sexualizing us. Some women choose to monetize the sexualization, some women don't. But regardless, men are going to sexualize you. And so for me, my choice to momentarily sexualize myself is in a way where how I almost brand and present my form of sexualizing myself is, if you're lucky to have the opportunity to serve me, you'd serve me on my terms. So if you don't get selected to serve me, you're only allowed to fantasize from afar. Now, the thing is, right, I know that being a public figure, there are going to be men who will see me and have sexual fantasies about me. And I can't do anything about that. But what I know that I can do about men who want to sleep with me is making sure that I benefit from and optimize that. Because to me, it makes it all the more worthwhile. So, how I navigate being a dominatrix now is oftentimes I might maybe post a photo of myself like on my dominatrix Twitter, and I will get a message from someone who wants to talk to me, but there's a fee. They have to pay £50 to introduce themselves to me.
Meanwhile, I can't even get a fucking text back.
Listen, you don't need a
I
text
should.
back. There are guys who don't give me a text back because they've
But at
got
least
that
you
they
got the
can't afford.
£50.
This
She got
is
the
why,
£50.
right? So some,
You're
you know
like,
what's interesting? Some of these guys give £50, they still ghost. But at least I got £50.
this is so wild to me. Okay, go on. Because I got
So
go on.
this was a recent scenario
Mm-hmm.
actually. This particular guy, he sent me £50 and he also bought me some Penhaligon's perfume at the same time, because the website that I use is basically a website where people can gift you money and gift you items that you've put on your wish list, and it will be sent to your house without them having your address.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I have a £50 introduction fee, meaning that if you want me to allow you to introduce yourself, you pay me £50. That doesn't guarantee that I'm going to go on a date with you. It doesn't guarantee I'm going to continue the conversation after you've introduced yourself. It just gives you the opportunity to impress me. And usually the men who go further beyond just the £50 introduction, they normally get more of my attention because I'm like, okay, this person seems interesting. I'm open to seeing what they're about and if he's likely to be someone that I will allow to serve me. So usually the gifts that I put on my wish list are things that I actually need. So like, external hard drive. I might put like 2 grand on there for a trip to Nigeria. Most times people might look at it and scroll past, but like there's days where I go, I say there's weeks where I go and I haven't spoken to any guy.
Right.
And then out of nowhere, someone will just purchase something on the wish list. So it's not like this, I don't want to glamorize it as
It's
this
not like
thing
this
where it's like,
influx of like right.
because I know dominatrixes who are on that level where
Okay, right.
they're established, like they're pulling in money, like they're getting a lot of money. I'm not in that place only because I don't market and position myself in that way. I haven't had the opportunity yet to really dive into it properly. But the little that I do, it benefits me, and it's completely changed my perspective on men. Because now it's like, even when I meet men in the vanilla world,
Right.
I don't expect the men that I date to be submissive, but I do expect them to be providers. So, like, from the first initial introduction of them talking to me, you have all of maybe like 2-3 minutes to talk to me before you offer me a drink. If you're not offering me a drink,
Then you walk
I'm
away.
like, well, it was lovely talking to you. Hope you enjoy the rest of your night, type of thing. I'm going. Because I'm not talking to a man I'm not saying the drink is like, oh, he's bought me a drink, therefore I'm going to kiss him. It's like,
Right.
you need to honor the time that I'm giving you here.
So my man, I'm going to tell you a quick story. So my man, he must have bought
You
you
got
a
a man?
drink. No, the man,
Oh.
our mutual.
Oh yeah.
He must have bought you a drink because you was talking for a little bit. So he must have bought
Oh
you.
yeah, all the guys who saw me talking to bought me a drink.
Okay, so this is the funny thing, right? So I went to an event. Maybe was it
Like
last year?
4 months ago. No, this was in summer,
This year?
early summer.
Yeah.
This
Oh
year.
my god, the year. Oh my god, we're
I
coming
know,
to the end of the year, right? Oh my
right?
gosh. Yeah. So we was at an event. And I got there a little bit late. It was coming towards the end. And there was a guy in there that I used to talk to, right? And then he was talking to Chidi, right? This guy is, when I tell you this guy put me through hell, he was just not the one, crying, all the sorts, yeah. So I saw him talking to Chidi. And at the time, we still hadn't, like, we had broken the ice, obviously. We were talking, we said hello to each other. But I think that moment is actually what kind of made us be like, oh, you're like, oh, cool.
You're actually cool,
like,
yeah.
yeah, actually cool. So she was talking to him, and I was just like,
Zeze came out of nowhere.
I came out of nowhere, and I literally came out of nowhere. I said, what
she was
did I
like,
say?
this is not the guy for you. He ain't got what you're looking for.
I said, this is not the guy for you. You're not looking for him.
And everyone heard it.
And I was like, because
the whole room erupted. The people were running in multiple directions laughing. I said, Jesus, I'm not even the one that caught this out, and I'm feeling embarrassed for him. He just stood there and was embarrassed. I mean, I was barely laughing. Because part of me, I enjoy when men are humiliated a bit. So I was like, really like, I didn't want to laugh. And I was like, nah. From that day, I rated you because I was like, you ruined his life.
No, because I said, I can't see you go for it. Because in fact, I should have let you. I should have even let you. Because you would have given him the treatment that he needed.
No, because of what you said, he gave me money.
Okay, but you still would have put him through the ringer a little bit more. I should let him go through the ringer with you.
He probably would not have given me that, what was it, £140 or something. He probably wouldn't have given me that money if you hadn't embarrassed him, because what you said implied that he can't afford.
Oh, right.
And so how he gave me that money was because...
Wait, so he gave it to you that night, isn't it?
Yeah, because he was waiting for me with my Uber, and he was like, oh, I'll get you before you. And then he just put a bunch of cash in my hand. I only needed like £40. He gave me like 140 because he was overcompensating.
Right, for the embarrassment.
And I took the money, I was like, oh, okay, that's nice. At least he still ghosted me anyway, but you know, again, I got something out of that.
At least
I went to go and buy skincare the following day.
What did I get? Endless promises. No promises.
I'm telling you.
Promises. No, what is it? What they say? Empty promises.
Right, because
endless empty promises.
A man, you can date a man and he'll be stingy, and then for the next girl, he suddenly is generous. And I hate that for me.
I hate that for me.
I've been there. That's what made me become... I'm like,
okay, but this is what I'm saying. So again, another little story. So just now, my friend he was there. So I was like, no, don't you remember her from the situation? He's like, oh, and I said, yeah. She said my man ran her some money as well. He said, I'm not gonna lie. She gives the give me my money energy.
Thank
I said,
Jesus.
So what about me? He said, nah, Z, you give like, nah, I got this. God, see, this is what I do.
In the name of Jesus. Fire. No.
I rebuke it. No, seriously. That is so annoying for me. I don't want to be that girl. Like, honestly, like, I don't want to give off like, no, actually I do. But then that's what I'm saying. I feel like I have to commit fully to it.
Keyword, I'm glad you said that, because that's the part where a lot of the girl them just fall off. It's the committing part, because the committing, I think, in the earliest stage is the hardest bit, because if you're someone who gets by on getting attention from men, and if you really enjoy that fluttery feeling of a guy liking you, oftentimes the moment you start to make your standards clear, he'll lose interest if he can't afford.
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
And you can't let that be something that makes you feel defeated or like, oh, fine, I'll compromise and so I can have this attention. I think as well, you need to be prepared to be disliked. Like, there'll be men who won't like you because you have standards that they can't afford to meet, but it's always worth, like, I would rather lose the favor of men who can't do anything for me and gain the favor of those who can actually do something for my life than to be accessible to men who are doing nothing for me. And in me being accessible to those men, the men who can actually do something for me, they see me as, oh, she doesn't like me anyway. She likes the guys who...
Cool.
Right. And I think as well, what you're saying about, like, you want to give the energy of, like, yeah, take care of me, run me my money. There's a level of, it's not arrogance, but you need to genuinely believe you're better than men, because you are.
See, okay, so this is where, again, when it comes to the dating thing, because you see yourself as the prize, right?
Yes.
See, I feel like we're both the prize.
No, you're not. A man is not your mate.
No, but We both
about what
got
both
things.
yeah, he's got things,
He's got
attributes.
things that I like, and when he brings it to the table, whatever this table is, this exists
This fucking
hypothetical
foldable
table,
IKEA
right?
table
You
at
know
this
what I
point.
mean, or the shelf, whatever the fuck he brings over here.
Yeah.
Like he's is just as valuable as what I'm gonna
In
bring.
the eyes of God, we are all valuable, but in the eyes of human, like a man cannot recreate the essence of a woman like without us. Like we are
Okay,
a
fairs.
component that
Mm-hmm.
men actually need. Like men need women. We don't actually need men. We obviously value recreating with them. We value having sex with them, but
But don't you feel like as humans we need humans? Like we
of
need
course,
companionship. So if you're like heterosexual, then you do need the man.
I think we need community more than we need men, because when we really deep what men are doing in community, what role are they playing
Yeah, but see,
really?
this is the thing. I always see this as well. Like when people say, "No, community over what," and I get it, but I feel like we need both. And I feel
Mm-hmm.
like we're getting to a place in the world where it's either or. And
Mm-hmm.
I think community companionship is just as important as you have, because I get community, but my sisters can't make me
They can't make you
feel.
nut, bro. I hear it.
Well, they can, because I do like ladies. So
Oh,
there you go.
period.
Yeah, so they can. They actually can.
In theory, they
They
can.
can.
So this is why I'm like, so this is what's interesting, right? Because this is part of what has also allowed me to be like, you know what, men are just here for funsies.
Right.
Because I find women attractive as well. I don't date women at the moment, but I
Right.
find women attractive.
Mm.
So I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything.
See, I enjoy masculine energy.
Same.
See, I like that. So and I always feel that when I date women or get involved with women, I always end up being the masculine energy.
I feel like I would be the masculine energy if
and
I was
I'm
dating
like, I
women.
don't necessarily want to sit in that for a long while.
No.
Like,
That's why you need
know,
to really like start to really pay attention to the energy you embody, because I resonate with that. Like if I'm fancying a woman, I see myself doing things for her. But then if I'm fancying a guy, I see him doing things for me.
Right, okay.
I've trained because look, the pick me is just like, it's like a thing where
I'm like a noted pick me. I'm like a notorious. I'm like the goat of pick me's, apparently.
Stop speaking this away online.
That's what they call me on Twitter. They'd be like, "Oh, look at her, queen of pick me." That's what they used to call me back in the day. I'm sure you called me pick me a couple
But
times.
the thing is, back then, I would have called you pick me because the things you were saying back then. But now I don't see you saying that anymore, though.
What type of things did I say back then?
I mean,
that
you used to actually call yourself a pick me.
Well, I used to call because I used to just play into it, because people used to say I don't actually. No, I don't actually see myself as pick me. I just feel I feel like I'm just quite balanced. As in, I understand. I try to understand where men might be coming from, whereas I feel like you're just like, no, we don't need to understand where they're coming from.
The reason why I don't be understanding no more is because being an understanding babe, it costs you a lot in the long run, and also you're never gonna see a man be like, oh, she's ugly, but it's fine. I'll just wait for her to get pretty. You know, I see her potential. They'll just move on to the person they find attractive. Nobody chastises men for picking the prettiest girl in the room. To them, like wherever they consider the prettiest girl in the room, they're gonna go for. But if I say I want the richest and most provider and most generous man in the room, come and see them tearing my wig. Because now it's like, well, why can't you go for the brick one? Why can't you build? I don't want to build. Like, I actually don't want to. I don't want to build. I enjoy sitting down and having things done for me. There's a man who can do that. If it's not
do you know what? And that's the thing that I've learned. Do you know what it is? As like we were saying earlier, as we get older, I've learned that although most of the things you say when it comes to the dating thing, for me, maybe one day I might have, I might think,
that's extreme.
but what I'm saying is, I've learned that doesn't mean I need to be warring with you. That means that's Chidi. That's how Chidi wants to live. And like you said, there actually will be somebody that will do what Chidi wants to be done.
Absolutely.
So I might not agree with it, but that doesn't mean that now it's like anti. And that's as I've got older, I think I've learned that. But can I ask a question? Morally, have you ever felt like your compass, like where you feel like, has my moral compass changed? And I think that's what it is with me when it comes to maybe the idea around sex work. It's like, morally, where do I sit with that? But then I also have the conversation of who tells us where our morals come from. Do you get what I mean? I think a lot of morals are built on religion, culture as well, like what our parents have told us and whatnot. So for you, how does that feel? And also, like, what Do your parents care, or what has that been like?
Good question. I think when it comes to morals, we don't ask men like morally, how do you feel about watching porn? How do you feel about paying for sex work? Like, because sex work exists because there's a market for it, right? The people who created the market is men. No one comes up to men and be like, morally, like, don't you think it's a bit strange that you're like paying a woman to have sex with her? Morally, don't you think it's strange that you like flew a woman out and like treated her well for 3 days, based on an arrangement? Like, morally, don't you think that's weird that like you bought a picture of a woman's tits for £500? Morally, like, I feel like morals are something that are imposed on women to keep us in line, but I don't see men being held to a moral standard.
But then you don't feel that men and women are equal, right? So then there's going to be different treatment. Do you not just feel like that's just the world that we live in, that there's going to be certain things that we can get away with as women, and that it's not going to be frowned upon? Sexually, we're allowed to be more free, and probably that's why a lot of men, maybe they should be with men, but they can't, because they can't even don't have the freedom to fucking experiment. Do you get what I mean? Especially within the Black community, like, we can go right. That's what I'm saying. Like, we can go into the toilets and have a little, oh yeah, like, or even like you can have a little kiss with a girl, and no one's gonna think
it's just a friendly kiss as friends.
Right? Do you get what I'm saying? So even that, we get to experiment more. They don't. So that whole idea of, men get to do this, but we don't. Do you not find it a bit contradictory, because we're not the same? Because in one breath it will say we're not the same, but then do you get what I mean?
I get what you're saying, in the sense that, like, why do women have to be held to morals and men aren't? For me, it's like, because all of this is a mess, I make my own rules, and I don't wait for anybody to assign me morality, because that's done nothing for me. For me, it's about, do I feel happy? Do I feel proud of myself? Do I feel resolved in my decision?
Okay, fair.
Because as a woman, there's always going to be something that you will do that will be considered immoral.
Yes. Even me and the thing is, sorry to interrupt, literally, I could be talking about giving head. When I used to talk about the basics of giving head online, people would be like, why are you talking? I'm like, I'm not even giving a demonstration. I just said I enjoy giving head. I haven't got a cucumber out or anything. Like, you know what I mean? And I'll be getting ripped. Do you think your husband wants to hear you talk about this? And so I get it. There's so many different levels of, that's what I mean, of morals. Because what someone look at me and what I talk and be like, disgusting. And then someone,
see a man get told, do you think your future wife's gonna like hearing you talk about how much you like eating pussy on Twitter?
Right, we're gonna be like, green flag. If he was saying that, we'll be like, yes. It's bury you in
to answer the second part of your question about how do my parents feel, I think, you know what? Yeah, like, I'm grateful that I grew up having a very strong mom.
Okay.
And I saw my mom getting her way with men. She always knew how to strategically flirt.
She was okay.
I remember being a child and going to like go and buy meat with her in the market. And I didn't know at the time that she's flirting to get a discount on the meat.
Right.
But now that I've grown up and I've joined the dots, I'm like, oh, that's what she was doing. She was pretending that he's her boyfriend so she can get a discount on the chicken. Smart woman. And my mom used to always say to me, like, if I ever die and you're still a child while I die, make sure you don't marry poor. That is my dying wish that I leave with you. She usually says to me, do not marry poor. So it's been
imprinted from young.
And I see why she said that. Because when I see women who have married poor, especially those who are part of my audience who I speak with, and I hear all these kinds of stories, I'm like, this is what my mum meant by don't marry poor. Because when I see women who married rich, I'm not saying that anybody's situation is perfect, but I would always definitely choose a guy with money over a guy who hasn't got money, because there's more to benefit from. I'm not in the perspective anymore, because I used to be in that perspective when I was much younger, in my earlier 20s, of like, find a man who you can build with and have that everlasting.
That's the energy I'm still giving. Early 20 energy.
But then I've met and spoken to many women who are in their 40s and 50s, and they did the whole find a man you're going to build with, and they wish they didn't do that. Because this is what men do. Like, they will use you and build. They even be lying to women that they're moving to that they built it on their own. Whole time you're their business partner. And then the women that they now are able to get because of you building them, they're now able to move to, one day they just leave and move on, and you hate to see it. And that woman is left there rocking back and forth in a padded room, like, deep in her life. Like, this is not even a joke. There are women who are in mental health facilities,
I know,
because of what a man has done to them.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
This is a serious matter. And I just wish more women would take themselves seriously. You know, I remember when I used to be on dating apps, and the most common thing I'd see on guys' profiles is, "I love a woman who doesn't take herself too seriously." It's like, yeah, because you want to take advantage of me. You want to talk to me anyhow. That's why I like a woman who doesn't take herself seriously. I take myself very seriously. I take my life very seriously, and I don't have time to waste. If I'm talking to a guy and I've scanned the trouser and the shoe, and I can already see that, you know what, like, it's actually not giving, I'm not even going to bother telling him that I like providers. He can't provide. I don't even want to ruin his day.
No, but sometimes the ones that have the nice ones on nice clothes on are the ones that have nothing.
But this is the thing. I don't even go for the ones that are wearing the Palma and and Casablanca. It's like, it's all about the context of where you meet that person as well.
And
Like,
so you
as
like
in the
frequent all the
location.
you frequent like the good members clubs.
You know what's interesting, right? I would say, yeah, members clubs, but also I think it's also the actual environment you meet them. Like, I went to the south of France. I went to Cannes
Oh yes, it did
in
look. Oh
summer.
yeah, you did look very fun.
And yeah, and I met a lot of men with money there, because the festival was a marketing and advertising and marketing
Right, yeah,
festival, and there's
yeah.
a lot of money in advertising.
Mm-hmm.
So most of the men I was meeting there were white and rich. And what was interesting was, I was out there to network, but I found the networking really hard because it felt robotic. Like, I got up to them and try and force this convo. So for the first 3 days I was out there, I was feeling really frustrated and defeated because I was trying to network with these men and nothing was given. Then I was like, you know what? I'm going to revert to what I know. Just put on tight dress, put the corset.
Oh no!
Oh, it worked.
Did it? No, but I'm saying, like, it's so annoying that it worked.
Yeah,
because it's
you
like
have to
it's
have
proving your point. It's like,
yes,
I tried to do it, but
girl,
now
let me
I
tell you what
went.
I did. So I was at one of these industry parties out in south of France, and I decided I'm going to play a little game with myself. I'm going to pick 5 men in the room whose shoes I genuinely like.
Yeah.
And obviously this is the advertising industry, so it's majority white people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not my comfort zone to really talk to white people, but I had to challenge myself.
Right.
So I was like, all right, I'm going to pick 5 men whose shoes I genuinely like. And what I did was, okay, first guy, I see him standing next to another guy talking, and I noticed he's wearing Jordans, and I like the colorway. So I went up to him, I was like, excuse me, I'm so sorry to interrupt this conversation. I just want to say I love your Jordans. Where did you get them from?
Oh, look at you.
Where did you get them from? And I'm doing shaking breast. So I'm saying, where did you get your Jordans from? Because his eyes going. And then he's like, oh, I got it in Barcelona. Barcelona? Swear that's, I knew you got it somewhere outside of London, because I'm from London. We don't have them kind of colorways in London. You must have great style. What do you do? Oh, I'm a CEO. Oh, you're a CEO? Oh, wow.
Sorry.
I love that. What is your role involved you doing? And then they'll ask me, what do you do? Oh, I'm a Sunday Times #1 best-selling author. And then they were like, oh my God, really? Because they're not expecting that, because they're seeing breast and
Right.
And then they're interested in talking. And then what they do is they're like, oh, you got LinkedIn? Yes, let's connect on LinkedIn. Then I send them a selfie as the DM on LinkedIn.
Okay.
So it's kind of flatting, but it's also genuinely like opening up room for a connection. And now a lot of those men, they're still keeping up with what I'm doing. They're still watching stories, you know. So at least when I go back to south of France,
You can.
I can, at least I started somewhere. Some people might argue that, oh, as a woman, you shouldn't have to flirt with a man to be able to network. But I found if you really deeped how men are,
I agree.
they give women opportunities based on how attractive. I can't change that, so I'm gonna use it to my advantage.
Someone literally said that to my friend the other day. They was like, "You are not." They literally said to her, a guy who is like, he owns like a restaurant, whatever. He said, "I know girls that are not as attractive as you who use their looks. You're not using your looks enough to get what you need." And he goes, "And you're smart, and you're not even using your exterior." He said, "You should be using it more." And he, in a weird, he didn't mean it in a.
It doesn't sound like a dig. I get exactly what he's
not
saying.
even in a slimy way. He was even like trying to say to her, like, you are losing out on opportunities, because there's women out there that are using everything they've got that to get further, and they'll get further than you, because he was almost saying, like you're saying, men, that's what they.
I can verify that what he's saying, unfortunately, is true, because in my community of dominatrixes, what's fascinating and ironic about this lifestyle is looks, as in like being stereotypically or societally pretty. That means nothing. The doms that I know who are the highest earners and most successful are very, I don't want to be rude, I'm going to say that they're not very memorable to look at.
Right, okay.
Like, they're just normal.
Okay.
You'd walk past them in the street and there's nothing that stands out about them, because it's all psychology. They understand a man's mind. There's doms that I know who are plus size, who have disabilities. They're pulling in money. And so it really has changed the way that I view what I used to think were the things that would make a man like me. I used to think, okay, like maybe if I'm slimmer, I've got bigger boobs, or XYZ, I'll be more attractive. No, men just like when you make them feel challenged, and when you make them feel like they're not good enough, but in a way where you're not bringing them down necessarily, but making them feel like they need to really like earn that side of you because they like the game.
Right.
I know everyone's saying, I don't want to play games. That's fine. Men like playing games. Even the men who say they don't like playing games, they like
They
playing
want a
games.
little bit of
They
it.
love it.
I know.
So for me, it's like, I've learned to love the game because if you want to date men, you have to also recognize that you're opting into a game.
I saw you post something on your story the other day, and it was about the word prostitution getting thrown around. And me, myself, I would say, from my knowledge, I would say when there's any sort of like monetary exchange for sex, whether that's bags, holidays, whatever, I would say that's a form of prostitution. You was basically saying, no, you don't agree with that. Or what was you saying? What's your stance on that?
So, first of all, the word prostitution, for those who may need clarity, is sex work.
Mm-hmm.
But the issue I take with the word prostitution is oftentimes people use the word prostitution in a negatively tinged way,
Okay.
almost like to chastise a woman. I get called a prostitute for saying that I wouldn't date a man who can't take care of me, let alone actually engaging in
I get what you
activities
mean. Okay.
where I'm being paid. But what's really interesting about this conversation I was having regarding prostitution was this came off the back of me saying that the thing people don't want to recognize is, and this is going to be very controversial to say, but marriage also is sex work because a lot of women, what they're doing is, and this is controversial to say.
Go on,
because
I'm gonna hear this. Say this.
In your definition, where you said earlier about prostitution, where like you sleep with a man, you get money, or you hang out with him, you get money. Why I say marriage is prostitution is because what happens is women engage in marriage from a place where, okay, he's gonna take care of you financially, and there's a home for you both to live in. And what you are doing is you're fulfilling a role. So you're going to either be some sort of like homemaker, homekeeper, you're raising and rearing the kids, and you are partnering with him and sleeping with him in the hopes that the trade-off will be that you get validation, love, and upkeep. And the man understands and believes that if he continues to fulfill that role for you, then the arrangement works because marriage is an arrangement. Now, why I say it's prostitution is because whilst it's not necessarily on the surface, you're fucking for a transactional exchange, there's something that you're fucking for.
But then there's the basis of a relationship. I guess the reason why prostitution is because it's sexual, it's nothing but sex. So you get the sex, you go. Whereas a marriage, to even get to the marriage, there would have been a build of a relationship, friendship, gone through a few things, families involved. Maybe you might even have kids now. So I think that's why people would be the
people
difference.
wouldn't understand that. And why I'm fascinated by that is because what people really miss out on in that conversation and in their opposition to the idea of marriage being a form of sex work is once you stop being able to render that service to the man, he leaves you. So, for example, I've seen countless situations where the woman has gained weight after having children, and the man has decided he doesn't want to be with her anymore because either her libido has lowered, so she's no longer interested in having sex. She doesn't feel good about herself. She doesn't want to have sex. So that man moves on. Or the woman becomes disabled or becomes sick and needs long-term care from her husband. And he leaves because he can't be asked and he doesn't want to do that and he can't have sex with her anymore. So what I've observed is that once men stop seeing you as the person that can fulfill that transactional need that they want from you, their energy switches up very quickly.
Do you think that's the case majority of the times? So they,
unfortunately, majority.
You think so?
I won't say every single
because
man,
do you not
but
feel
majority.
like when you get to because I can't speak because I'm not married, and I do feel like marriages
neither.
get a bit stale. I guess what I've heard they do, and like from research and that stuff. So I guess I get what you're saying, but then I can't remember what I was going to say now. About what was he saying?
When I was saying that the men leave when they can't have their needs
No,
met.
I'm saying, do you not feel that after a while that some men just stay anyway? Even if it's
I
because
think most men just stay because it's easier
convenient
to stay than to leave.
Yeah, so at least they still stay. So at least they're not going then.
The only times a man is going to leave a marriage is if he's already patterned the replacement. Men, if a man has not found your replacement, he's happy to just stay and just...
make it happen, make it work.
We've got lots of our names together on joint accounts. It's long to leave. Once he's found a replacement, suddenly he's ready to be the one that will even initiate the breakup. A man is rarely ever going to tell you, you know what, let's end this. They're happy to co-spy and drag you along until you're ready to end it. And this is why I'm very radical in my work. A lot of people will not like my approach, or they might not like my lifestyle. But genuinely, like, I'm having the best experiences with men that I've ever had.
Really?
As opposed to when I used to be because I used to be I started from pick me, and then I evolved into what I am now, where I've learned, okay, pick me don't work. It just doesn't work.
Okay.
So now I'm in a place where I date very selfishly, and there's men who will give me attention, and just from the onset, I'm not going to give the attention back. I can just tell from the environment we've met in, you're not the guy for me. And that's okay. Like, look, you're probably spending all your money on your drip, and I love that for you. You can't afford to do anything for me. Like, the things that I would require as a woman, you can't.
So then outside of the money, what else do you require?
That's a good question, because I'm not gonna lie, like, I like my space. You know
so
what?
but you wouldn't be with a guy that has money but is not kind to you.
No, because I like kindness is
right.
given.
Yeah.
Like,
okay. No, because we just need to
I wouldn't even
clarify
be
that, because some people because the go-to people, the moment you say, oh, money, oh, so what, you treat like shit, and so we have to, for the dummies, we have
things
to
in binaries.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So
but
yeah,
no, like, you don't have to endure anything you don't like just because a guy's giving you money. There are men who have given me money and I've still cut them off because they got carried away. You know, it's about valuing yourself in a way where nothing is worth you enduring discomfort, not even money. And I speak from a position of having my own money, and that's why it's so important as a woman to have your own money, so that you can use his money to expand your own money. So instead of paying your own bill, he pay your bill, and you use your money to build your business. You use your money to have your savings. You use your money to indulge in the hobbies and the therapy and the well-being activities you need to be a balanced human being, rather than shucking and jiving to stay alive. And the man is there. What's he there for?
Okay, one of my last questions, because I always wonder when women like yourself speak like this. When you have a son, what are you going to teach him?
To be a provider.
That's it.
100.
So, like, if
I've got 2 younger brothers, right?
So if your brothers or if your son comes home and says, Mom, I met this woman, she did this, she says, I need this, you're going to be like, that's how it should be.
I'm going to be like, have you treated her like a queen? Have you made sure that you've read your books first? Make sure you focus on building success for yourself as a man before you even look at a girl.
So you think, okay, which is right. I think a lot of men are dating and they shouldn't be dating. I do think that a lot of men are dating and they should not.
Got nothing to bring to a woman's life. Why are you there? Go and use that time and that money you're using to buy her love bombing gifts to go and put into your business, to go and pay for a course in if it's production or engineering, go and do something.
It's so
chasing girl. Because my thing is, if a man is in a bad place and he's dating, that tells me that he's got misaligned priorities. So we're not compatible.
And he's the devil in disguise.
Yeah, he's gonna bring you that. A man will only bring you to where he's at in his life. If he's up here and he feels good about himself and things are going well for him, that's the dating experience you'll have. If he's down here and he's struggling and he's having a hard time and his whole life is itching him, that's what you're gonna be dealing with. And he will
bring you down, and then he'll
bad vibes
and just start making you doubt in yourself.
Especially if you're a public figure. I see women do this thing where, like, because they're celebrity women or public figure women, they go for the safe option of choosing a man who is broke so that he can't leave. It's like, go.
That guy will break you down, boy.
Not my portion. I would rather be single.
Because you start even dating those guys, and then they start making you question yourself. You're like, wait a minute.
I've been there.
What is happening
here? I'm doing you a favor. Wait, that's the thanks I get. It's a thankless job, babe.
Like, are you all right? You know the ones that you have to think to yourself, are you okay here?
Like, do you realize that
do you understand what's going on?
Do we have an understanding?
This is wild, but yeah.
But you know what's crazy, right? Like, the same way, like, a broke guy will come at you sideways, like, even a guy who's got money will come at you sideways. Everybody needs to know their place. Like, I'm not afraid to walk away from anything. Even if I meet a guy who's like, okay, I'm going to buy your house, buy you all this stuff. You can't control me.
Right.
I don't want to be in a situation where a man feels comfortable to talk outside of his neck to me. And I don't have to endure that because he has money. I don't have to endure that because he's famous. I don't have to endure anything. And even now, right, like, I'm single. I've not slept with a man since 2021.
Hey!
And the pussy has not fallen out of me. It's still there. I have a great time.
2021.
2021.
But, like, you please yourself.
I definitely DJ.
Okay. I like that one.
Right. And I have a great time doing that. But for me, it's like in all of that time from 2021 to now 2024, I've still had like flirty moments with men. I've still collected men's money. I've still had a great time.
Oh my gosh.
But what happens a lot of the time is just when I'm about to be like, you know what, I might actually give this guy a chance to lick my pussy. He does something to piss me off. And I'm like,
so you're not even getting head?
No, not even head.
Oh wow. So you are really
I'm very disciplined.
You are.
I really am.
You're very disciplined.
Yeah, because I've trained myself to
that's
only
what
be
I
turned
feel,
on
but that's what I'm saying. When I speak to you, I feel like there's this kind of like it's so like calculated.
You have to be because men are calculated.
That's what I'm saying. It's almost like a course.
Yes.
Like you have, this is what works. This doesn't work. I've tried this. No, we don't do that. Me now, I will know this doesn't work and I'll do it again. Hey, let me try. Just maybe one last time. Maybe we'll give it one more go. Why not?
You don't have that time.
I know. And I really actually don't because it's, let's your show before we go. Your show, yes.
So I've sold out my live show at Leicester Square Theatre happening October 26th and they've given me a second date.
I know, I saw that.
Tickets are available. You can Google search.
What's the show's called? The
Patriarchy's Worst Nightmare. Patriarchy's my first time doing a back-to-back show.
And what's your show? What does it consist of for the people that know? Because you do the what kind of
burlesque?
The burlesque dancing.
I'm also a burlesque performer.
How did you get into that?
So how I got into burlesque was because I was pole dancing for a couple of years and I really loved it. And I realized that I enjoy being on stage and I love it when people clap when I remove my clothes. Like, I actually really like it. I'm like, take it off. Yeah. Okay.
And the one thing about you that I love, and I guess it's so interesting because even the same thing with Steph, it was like when I sat down with her, people
loved that interview, by the way.
Thank you. Everyone was like, she's just who she is and I'm just who I am. And that's any of the ladies that I've ever maybe butted heads with, like when I sit down with them or have conversations, it's just like, you're just who you are. You just own it. You're just like, it's like me. It's like, well, yeah, I like to suck dick and what? You're just like, yeah, I like to take my clothes
how
off.
much you own yourself. Like for me, it's like, I love burlesque. So for those who don't know what burlesque is, think about Dita Von Teese. If you don't know who Dita Von Teese is, she's the goat of burlesque. Yes. It's all about glamour, rhinestones, ginormous feathers. Think about Vegas showgirls, very that. And so how burlesque works is you have an act. So I have an act to Soundgasm by Rema, and that's a song I perform to. And so at different points of the song, I'll remove my clothes, maybe my gloves.
Okay.
The chorus
it's all about teasing.
And then at the end, it's my nipple tassels, and like I have tassels on my bum as well. So like it's very tantalizing and entertaining to watch. It is adult entertainment, basically.
Yeah.
And I got into it because I enjoy taking my clothes off. I enjoy when people clap when I take my clothes off. And I enjoy having lights on me. Like I'm a Sagittarius, I'm a fire sign. You're a Leo, right?
I'm a Leo.
So like we love the spotlight. Like, and I just love knowing that I can tease people and not have to do anything. Like I actually really enjoy the idea of teasing. Like
I can tell.
My whole existence is a tease. Like love
the thing
teasing.
is, I feel bad for teasing.
I don't.
I'm like, oh no, you're hard.
Do you know what men tease us every day with relationship and commitment?
You're so right.
And we're feeling bad.
I need to think that.
See trouble.
That's what I say. I always feel bad. I'm like, oh no, you're so hard. I'll help you. And now,
the kind of help I give men is like, you got this, champ. I believe in you. I prayed for you yesterday. I'm sending you thoughts, prayer emoji. Like, I'm not about to be, how much do you need? Let me send it to you. Pay me back.
And no, I wouldn't. I'm not that far. Good. I'm not that far.
Good.
And also, I am like, I'm not that far. And once I'm done, I'm done. It might take me a while to get to the done. But once I'm done, I very, very rarely ever spin the block. I would never, like, I don't even want to touch you. Like, after that Delulu's gone out of my head, and you want to try again, I'm just like, nah, babes.
Oh, and I love
that feeling.
You know when you finally get the final ick of all icks and you're like, thank you, God, you've released me.
And you're like, and then they're talking to you, you're like, ew.
Right?
Or you're looking at that, you're even disappointed in yourself. You're like, what was you thinking?
Or when you catch yourself having the ick in the moment, you're like, oh, you're not seeing me again.
No, you're like, yeah. Or did you just say that? No, this has to end.
You have to train yourself to have the ick for men who cannot do anything for your life. I know it sounds harsh, but This life, men don't deserve things just because they want to have it, especially women. In this life, you have to work for the woman that you want. You have to prove yourself. You know, if you want to have an all-star babe who's doing well and has great tits and an amazing personality, you need to be a man who can afford to sustain that, because there are 5 other men who have more than what you have who can give her that. And if you're still building, love that for you. When you blow, come back and talk to me. Hopefully I'll be around. If not, then you'll find someone else. But I'm not waiting for a man to blow. I'm not gonna be like, I know he's gonna
Let's
blow
give her.
next year, so I'm gonna just hang in there. I'm not hanging nowhere, bruv. I can be your friend.
Because they'll leave the one that for you anyway. That's
Yeah.
what happened.
I'm not waiting for his team
Because
to
the one
blow.
that was doing the building, that's what happens. You build with them, and then they'll go and find you.
Yeah,
and
what-
then now
what- yeah.
you're just like,
What one man is building, another man has built. That's why I don't wait around for men to finish what they're building. It's like, look, what you're trying to finish up, another man's got it ×2. So I'm going to go where he is. I'm so sorry. Because that's what these men do to us. When they want sex and we're not giving it to them, they'll go where it's more available. And I never want to be the girl that a man comes to when he can't have his first choice.
hey, that is no, that's really peak.
Because I've been the second choice.
Oh, but we all have and we'll never know.
God
Sometimes you'll
forbid.
know, sometimes you won't know.
That's why you have to act like the first choice. The first choice is the one who he will give it up. He will give everything for. And you have to be really, really like, just when things are going well. Like for me, sometimes I do start fights just to check. But it's not like a massive like fight. It's a controlled flame,
Oh, okay.
So what I mean by that is like, I like creating a reason for him to make it up to me so I can get a gift.
Oh.
Yeah. So for example, it could be that like, you told me you were going to let me know and I haven't heard from you in 2 days. And then he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'll make it up to you. Well, I look forward to seeing how you're going to make it up to me.
And then
in the
wait.
meantime, here's a link. Size 7. Let me know when you've sent it.
Oh my gosh.
Like, you have to be really like bratty.
But do you not feel like this is a bit toxic?
Yes, it is, and I love it. Because
Okay,
you know what's toxic?
fairs.
Men lying that they love you so they can press your breast and put their hands inside your pussy. For what? Anytime you think you're being toxic, just think, what's the man doing that's toxic? Let's both be toxic. Because I don't see it as toxic. I just see it as I'm throwing my weight around as a woman. Because remember, it's not by force that you're here.
Fairs.
And you know what happens, yeah?
Because like you said at the beginning, dating is
not
by force. And
also,
if you decide to participate, you're entering the game. That's one thing.
And also, these guys, when I tell them you have to make it up to me, they actually do make it up to me. And they love the feeling of when my energy now changes. I'm like, oh, I love it. You're thank
Do you know what? I'm going to try for a week your energy and see what happens.
You're going to need more than a week. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, God, see, that's what happens.
You need to give it genuinely a whole year. I would say a year.
Yay! No.
Because you're going to need to settle into that new characteristic. And you need to see what works and what doesn't work. And you need to also learn how to feel uncomfortable with, because it will feel uncomfortable and you feel like a bad person. But that's because you are deviating from your conditioning.
Yeah, that's what happens to me. I do feel bad. Like when I'm like, I feel like, oh no, maybe I might be too harsh.
Just remember, men don't feel guilty about asking to sleep with you from knowing you for 2 weeks. And men don't feel guilty about not only asking to sleep with you, but also lying that they want a relationship, knowing that they don't. Men don't operate on guilt. They operate selfishly.
That is very true, they do.
2 wrongs don't make it right. I ain't trying to make it right. I'm trying to make it right for me. I don't care about, he's not behaving right, so I'm going to be the bigger person. The only thing bigger about me is my tits. I'm not about to be,
But they look very nice, by the way.
Thank you very much. 32G. But like, I'm not about to, yeah, I'm a lover, not a fighter. Oh, I got so much love to give. You know what? I actually have a lot of love to give, so I give it to the small children around me. Like, I've got lots of, as you get older, people are having babies around you.
Yeah.
That's where all of my love to give goes. I'm not giving it to men.
Yeah.
I'll give my love to a child before I give it to a man. So by the time I've spent 2 hours with a child, I've gotten what I needed. Like, I feel like I've lived out that desire to put my love out into the world. I'm not giving it to a man.
This might sound so weird, but do you actually like men?
Yes. I like men as providers and as people who I can experience a sense of, like, I fall more in love with myself when a guy likes me in the way I like being liked. It's almost like he's a mirror of my desire for myself. So I like myself more than I like men.
Right, okay.
I find men attractive, but I see them as an accessory to my world.
Okay.
So yeah, I like men,
But to only a certain.
But yeah, like I can live without them for sure. Like I can genuinely go the next 5 years without sleeping with a man and
Oh,
not
see,
feel.
I think that's where we differ. I don't think I could do that. No, I genuinely do not think I could do
What do you
that.
think would happen if you?
I don't want to. That's also. I think that's the difference.
Yeah.
It's not. I don't think I could. I don't want to.
I hear it.
And I think that might be the difference. I think.
And that's okay.
No, yeah, for sure. Like I know, like, but I couldn't do 5 years.
Because sexuality is also a spectrum. Like for me, the more I started to love myself and the more I started to get what I wanted from men, the less like hot in the pants I feel.
But mine's more companionship. Like I can. It's not necessarily the physical. It's the actual. Just like I enjoy that closeness of
when
being
things are
with a
good.
man. When things are good.
Keyword is when things are good though.
That is very true.
Because what I don't enjoy
is the.
You know when it's 8 a.m.
when you're
and
looking,
vexed.
when you turn your phone on do not disturb,
Like,
just so that it doesn't flash.
So it's like, wow.
So that you can be surprised when you tap it. Oh, he's text back.
Or you know when he hasn't
really,
texted, it's like, rah, it's been
empty.
4 hours. I've been away from my phone and you haven't texted me. Welp.
I know.
Like, I don't like that. I don't miss that.
But then the romantic side of me just hopes that maybe one day I'll come across a guy that enjoys that type of energy and I'll be able, and he will like reciprocate it.
Hope is beautiful, but it's not a strategy. What I believe in is like.
I love the way that Slumflower just kills everything. I'm like, hope is beautiful, but it's not a strategy. Like,
because it's about believing. You know what? Yeah, I trust and believe that you will not only find the guy that's meant for you, you'll find multiple men that resonate with you. Just like for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't hope a man's gonna love me. I know a man's gonna love me because I'm lovable. For me, what I'm putting my hope into is, I hope my career does X, Y, Z. I hope. Because these are things that like I put more of my energy into. When it comes to men, it's like, look, I've seen women who look very normal and not as, for lack of a better word, not as popping and pretty as us. They got men who are taking care of them. They're set good. And they're average looking with flat bum and no breast.
Well, I've got flat bums.
Period. So that means as well, you don't even have to have BBL batty, big boobs and a small nose to be able to be loved. You can have a flat bum, you can be skinny, you can be fat. I'm telling you, it's all about how you carry yourself mentally. And I think it's so important to make that clear to women because sometimes people can think that they have to look a certain way to get a certain type of treatment because what we see on the internet. But I promise you, I've met women who are very, very average looking and they are loved because women are lovable and we deserve to be loved. And I don't think that we should date at the level of our current self-esteem. We need to date at the level of who we know we can be. And we need to just find our way up there in terms of...
Do you not think that's making women delusional though?
Women are already delusional because they are partnering with men who can't do anything for them and they hope it's going to work.
No, listen. There's some women, I feel like every woman thinks that they can get this 1% guy or the top tier of guys. And that is just not realistic. There's not enough of them, first of all, for everyone. Like, there's more women than men. So some of us are going to end up alone. So I feel that sometimes this level of you can do might come back to bite some of us in the arse.
I hear that, especially on your like reference of like there's more women than men. I think what's really interesting about this is most women don't dare to act on their fantasies. So the men who are in this like 1%, which I think that's an interesting scaremongering tactic men have created. They like to push this idea that men who are providers or men who can facilitate a certain lifestyle are in the 1%. It's actually a much bigger percentage than you think, especially because a man doesn't have to be a billionaire or even a millionaire.
True, yeah, to give you a good lifestyle, yeah.
And also, like, there are men who just simply work in tech and they look very normal and they've got money and they just are generous by heart and they're everywhere.
So.
I also think that when we believe that we can't find it, then we're not going to find it. For me, it's like I operate on the belief that men who have money to give me are going to find their way to me. They don't have to be everywhere, but you know,
they're gonna find you.
They will find me, and I will find them. However it happens, and whenever I'm meant to meet that person, I'll be prepared. Like I feel like all the experiences I have with men, leading up to right now where we are in this conversation, and those onwards, it's all preparing me for the time when I'm gonna meet the guy who
It's gone now.
Find the hair. This is the fish I was waiting for. I'll know how to act. I'll know what to say to him. I'll know exactly how to carry myself. Like, I'll be primed for that moment. Because sometimes, there's been times when I've like met a guy. There was one guy who was a musician. He was a celebrity, and I didn't really know how. I hadn't spoken to a celebrity before,
Right.
and this was maybe like 2 years ago. And looking back in hindsight, I don't like how I handled it. Like, I was a bit too like. I was maybe like a fan a bit. And he clocked it, and I can see why it ended the way it ended. Where like he kind of started ghosting, and I remember feeling very affected by the ghosting because I put him on a pedestal.
Yeah.
But now that I've experienced that, since then I've met many men who similar to you, like you're in that network.
Yeah.
I've met men who are celebrities and musicians, and now I just talk to them like they're just.
And they love it.
Yeah, I treat them like an up and coming musician. Not that I talk to them in that way, but like that energy of like someone who is.
No, I hear what you mean.
Yeah, it's like you have to see like how I talk to men that I actually like is how I treat men who, that guy who you don't like, he's texting you, you just see a message, you're like, anyway. That's how I treat them. It's not because I don't like them, but it's like I don't put them on the pedestal.
Wait, is that how you make them feel? Is that how you actually feel?
No, how I actually feel is like, this is going well. I kind of like this guy. But how I act is still.
Okay.
I don't chalant as much as I feel like they want me to chalant.
Okay.
Like, chalanting, but not too much chalanting.
Okay.
I'm not going to give nonchalant entirely because I still want them to know that I like them. But I make it harder for them to impress me. So, for example, if they want to take me on a date, I'll be like, well, you're welcome to suggest 2 places that you have in mind. I'll let you know which one that I like. Because I want to also see, do you know nice places? I also want your brain to switch on a bit. Like, I want you to feel like you're working for like, the more a man feels like he's working and in an activity, the more his fondness for you develops. Okay, and he gets into that, it's like you're training him basically, without you being like, sit, here's your treat. But like, you're kind of passively training him to serve you, and you're passively reinforcing the behaviors that you do want to see. And for example, if a guy has been away for a while, he went on holiday and I haven't heard from him, I'll be like, wow, you were away for a while. I know you were thinking of me and I can't wait to see the gift that you got me. So if he sees that message and he didn't get me no gift, you better run to the Harrods or wherever you're going on your way to seeing me, and you better throw a perfume in the bag. And I'll act like, oh, you got this for me. That's so sweet. No, fully well though. But it's like,
I'm gonna, yeah.
I get off on men giving me gifts. I get turned on when men give me money. Like, I genuinely do feel like a pussy gets wet when men give you money. Like, genuinely. Like, I feel
alive.
Yeah, it's a nice feeling. It's like, is that me? Yeah. Like, I genuinely feel giddy. I don't really care if a man's like, I like your breast. Of course you like my breast. Like, you're supposed to.
What if the guy's like, I think you're really loving, I think you're caring, you make me feel nice, you make me feel happy. No?
That's a nice thing to say if he's doing things for me. If he's just saying that, I'm like, I'm happy you feel that way. It's so important to feel.
But what are you showing?
Good energy. Yeah, it's like, I want a man to like, I prefer when a man compliments me in cash. Like, I like when a man's compliments comes with action. Like, I like when a man is like, surprise.
Flowers.
Here you go.
What about flowers?
With flowers, see, this is a tricky thing with flowers, right? Like, there's been times when I've given a man back flowers because it was not, like, I don't like you. This is Tesco flowers.
Yeah, but that's a thought, Chidi.
Next time, think well. Next time, take the thought to I want that, that bouquet in Selfridges that's overpriced. I want that bouquet.
No, because it's the thought.
What are you thinking?
No, come on. Like, if a guy came and he gave you some I don't know, maybe this is why I'm not.
Because remember, I'm talking about the context of the kind of men that I date. They're men who can afford to do that. If it's a guy who's getting me Tesco flowers, I see that as we're friends. Like, oh, this is a friendly flower. Thanks.
But, okay, maybe. But what about if he was just? What about Marks and Spencer flowers?
I love. Marks Spencer's the baseline.
Oh, okay.
That's like a last minute sort of like, got this on the way here.
Because
if it's an actual like sending a flower to my house kind of arrangement, I like when the flower looks like somebody actually had to like arrange that by hand and it looks really well curated. That shows thought and intention. He wants me to like this. He wants me to feel impressed.
Okay.
Especially when maybe if I open the flower, there's something rolled in the flower. Like creativity of presenting money is also a thing as well. Like,
okay.
Because there's been men who have been very creative with how they give me money. It could be that like they've given me money, but it's inside a handbag that they've bought me, or they've given me money, but it's like inside a book that they wanted to get for me because we had a conversation about a book that they recommended to me. Like,
Right,
I like that
okay.
kind of thought. Like, I like a man who's very intelligent.
And that doesn't want to make you bust it open.
That makes me want to bust it open, but he has to earn it. So like, I would maybe give him the chance to. Like, I like to do things to men where it's like tie him to a chair and maybe like walk around in my underwear around him and tease, maybe like tie him to a chair, sit on him and read a book in his ear. So it's still tease. So it's still intimacy, but we're getting there. Hopefully he makes it to get into my pussy. But most times they've pissed me off by that point. And oh well. But I like that whole build up. Like, I love an extended tease.
Right.
Because for me, foreplay begins in a woman's bank account. And then from there, it's like, okay, you've enticed me. And now I need to explore if we have physical chemistry together. So I also enjoy the idea of tying a man to a chair and knowing that he has a hard on, but he can't do anything about it. And then when he goes home, he's going to do something about it. But like, it's also, I'm in his head now. Like, I'm really, really in his mind.
Right.
Like, intrusive thoughts.
This is so, like, this, I feel like we have to do a 2-hour episode for this, but we have to even start. You gotta come. I feel like next time you gotta come back and do techniques of how to
that's
this.
a good idea.
See,
yeah, man.
For the beginners like me.
Yeah, I need to invite you to the one I'm going to, that dominatrix event.
Oh yes, please. I would like to come.
I really think it'll be an eye opener.
No,
for you.
I really want to come.
Genuinely.
You stand in the corner and be like,
yeah, because it's been so long. It's been since 2021.
Oh yeah, and
like, I feel like
that
I'm a virgin again. I'm shy.
And also your first time needs to be like somewhere so picturesque,
in the Maldives or something.
Yeah, like something. Yeah, that's all I want for you. That's
honestly,
like 3 years.
I want this for all of us.
That's 3 years. I mean,
you'd be surprised.
I actually haven't for a while either. It's very sad, but yeah, I haven't either.
You DJing for her?
Yeah, but it's so annoying. Like, there's only so many DJs sets you can go to. Do you know what I mean?
I hear it.
That all start sounding the same. Like, you know the next mix.
I think it's about diversifying the way you use toys.
I don't like toys.
Do you just use your hands like manually?
Yeah. Shall I tell you why? Because I feel like toys, you're setting yourself up because
yourself for what?
Because no man's penis can twist,
my friends,
up, flick.
Yeah, but a guy can use a toy on you and still use.
No, I feel like it takes away the sensation of the real thing. You're literally setting yourself up. No, babe, you're setting yourself up.
Have you tried putting lube on your titties and using the vibrator on your tits and then also using one on your pussy at the same time?
No.
Okay, when you try that, come back and talk to me talking about sensation. Well, that's Christian conditioning to make you scared from rubbing your pussy. Your pussy is stronger than you think.
No, it's not that. No, I mean like the sensation the toys give you, a man's penis is never going to be able to do that.
Of course not, but why would you?
So then what's I'm saying, so then when you're, but because I have sex, I don't want to be having sex with a guy and I'm looking at him sideways and never pleased by him because I've used the toys.
That's because he's got poor technique, because I know men who use both toys and penis
but
and mouth.
I don't want to use toys. I actually just don't like using toys.
Men need to improve their techers, because how's a toy outdoing them?
No, because I don't even want to use a toy. I just want the real stuff. And I just make sure I have sex with guys that can give me good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they have to.
Like, they know what they do. But what I'm just saying, I just feel like your expectations are never going to be met by the real thing, because that thing's doing the next thing.
I think for me as well, it's like the psychological feeling of having sex with a man that can also make it feel good. Like, it doesn't have to be
100%. That's what I'm saying.
Because a person and a toy are never going to be comparable at all. Like, I would always choose a person over a toy. But at the same time, I wouldn't have sex with a guy just because I'm feeling horny. Like, there has to be more reasons. Like, I need to build a case.
Oh, okay.
Like, this needs to be justifiable to me.
Oh, see, I can. If we've been doing it and like, I'm just like, yeah, I need to tonight. Like, I could be like, I need to tonight.
Specifically?
Yeah, I mean, like, I need to. And it'll be like, okay, I need to message. I used to have someone that I could, but we don't do that anymore. But I used to have a guy that was our thing.
Was he good?
Oh, amazing. Bring me to tears every single time. Like, he was so good.
Bring you to tears? That's the only time a man should bring you to tears.
Literally. Period. And he would. But then it got cut off. Like, we cut it off. Which is
no.
Yeah, and it was very convenient. Because I had like I got quite a high sex drive. He was very convenient, but I felt very safe with him. He knew what to do. There was a nice like level of friendship there as much as you can with that type of thing without it. But we both, it never crossed the line of that, and we both knew what it was. Kind of like what we were saying earlier. So there was a level of respect there because we knew what it was. No one ever overinflated it. It was never like, oh, this, are we gonna be something? It was like, we respect each other, we get along really well. It's nice, but yeah, then it came to an end. But that lasted for a while.
No chance of that block being spun?
No, I feel like he definitely, it was one of those things where your self-worth had to come in. Because even though it was good, there was things, it was good for what it was.
It's never just sex. It gets to a point where it's not.
No, because it did, yeah, and I feel like
other logistics get in the way.
Yeah, that's what happened.
How you spoke to me that day, or like,
right, yeah. And then after a while, you just like, okay, and then you think, yeah,
is it worth it? No.
Yeah.
And then you just go back to being by yourself.
Basically.
That's how I got from 2021 to here.
No, I'm hoping that's not for me. I can't, please. No, that's my...
I mean, I would love to be able to have some sort of sexual arrangement where it's friends of benefit. But for me, like, orgasms aren't a benefit. For me, like, it has to be more than an orgasm. Like, it has to be orgasm plus...
50 plus something.
Plus, as friends, you're giving me money. Like, same way you can give me orgasm as friends.
What about if they bring food? Food? Yeah, food and orgasms. As
food,
friends.
orgasm and money. Oof.
No, extra money. Just the food. He brings the food.
But see, this is the thing. Why can't the money be part of it?
Because he's friends with benefits.
But as friends, can't he give me money?
With the food. That's him. Bringing the food. That's the friends with benefits.
See, this is why women have to just make it worth it for themselves, man. And yeah, we could spend forever talking, but I know we've got to wrap up.
We have to.
And I loved this conversation.
This has been a very lovely, gorgeous conversation.
The haters would have wished that we would be fighting and
I know, but we think, listen, you've taught me some things. But one thing I'm taking away from this is what you said. You don't have to date. Dating is a choice. And if you choose to enter, be ready to play the game. Because that's exactly what it is.
Play to win. Don't play to be a nice person.
Okay, fine.
Play to win.
Okay.
Like, this is you versus you now.
Okay.
I know you're a Leo. I know you have it in you.
I know, but...
You're a star girl. And you're beautiful. And you're accomplished. And you're funny. And you're nice to be around. And I'm sure the man them be giggling secretly.
They do. They giggle all the time.
They be twirling their toes. I'm going to kill you.
No, that's what happens. And then anyway, every time I think we're going to finish going there. So let's do the thing. But thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. I've loved this. And I want to come to your show.
I'll put you on guest list.
Okay, thank you.
Yay!
Thank you. Like, subscribe. You know what to do. Woo, we out. Hey. Wicked.
That was so fun. I can't believe this has to come to an end.
I know.
What do you mean?
Listen,
we were just getting